And I'm smiling because I have the double privilege of getting to call up someone that I just absolutely adore. Jonathan Levine is a prosthodontist. He's an entrepreneur with several successful companies. He's already inspired his two sons to get into the dental industry, have a company with an actual rock star. He's a philanthropist, both charitable and in thought leadership realm. He is an athlete, D1 lacrosse player, and he just is a dear friend. So it is my great privilege to bring onto the stage Dr. Jonathan Levine.
All right. Well, now I know why it's so easy to love David Kochman, that's for sure. Giving us a vision of dentistry and how exciting it is. Super excited to be here. Special thanks to Henry Schein and the THRIVELIVE team for putting on this really amazing event. It's really something special. I'm so honored to be here. I want to talk about three things here. Find your purpose, lead with passion, elevate your profession. And when I look back in my own career, these have been three of the drivers that helped me and kind of guided me, but it was really more of a look back. It was a look back of how I like to think about the future. Find your purpose, lead with passion, elevate your profession. So for me, you know, our careers, all of us in this room, it's never linear. It's always zig and it's zag and it's zig and it's zag. And it's less about the destination, right? It's more about at every little curve what we learn to get us ready for the next step. Not the destination, but the transmission of our learnings. So for me, I started at Cornell, I went to BU Dental, NYU Pros, started a couple different companies, and this left and right is how I got influenced by the people around me and the choices I made. But I learned something very interesting, and it was back in the day at Cornell, and I have to share this with you because we lost our junior year to Navy that we beat during the year, and collectively, the group of us, the team said, we're not going to be denied. We had this amazing coach. We have these great coaches in our lives. Richie Moran, 85 years old, still going strong. And we said, we're not going to get denied. We're going to win, and we're going to win this national championship. And sure enough, we went 16-0 and lost, and won in the finals in double overtime. But the point I'm making is what I learned. And what I learned is that when you have a big vision and you work together with your teammates and you love your teammates, that's when the magic happens. And for me, that really helped me fuel passion. And it helped me think about purpose. Because as a teammate, it's not about the guy who scores, as David was talking about. It's about making each person around you better, making each person the best version of themselves. And I learned that early on. I really did. It was a wonderful lesson. Well, in 2017, I was asked to do the commencement speech at BU Goldman School, and I started off by talking about this thought. You're on an elevator. Imagine a stranger looks at you and says, hey, what do you do for a living? You say, I'm a dentist. The person looks at you and goes, that's nice, looks away. But imagine if you said to that person, I change people's lives by bringing their greatest smile to life. Even though you're on an elevator, you would have a very engaging conversation. Because that's what we do. These are exciting times in dentistry with our technology and all of the things we can do with digital dentistry and our new science and research that's bringing it to dentistry. It's such exciting times. So, at this commencement speech, I had these thoughts. And I realized, as I look back, that transforming people's smiles is a lot more exciting because that's what brings the health after that. It's what people really want. Well, in about 2012, this woman helped change my life and my thinking. And if you look at her and look very closely, she puts her tongue forward to make it look like there's no dark space. And Agath suffered a terrible tragedy where she was part of the Rwandan genocide. People were murdered, 900,000 people in 90 days. If you remember, she was raped. She had her front teeth knocked out with the butt end of a machete. And I was introduced to her. We went to Rwanda as part of the Glow Good Foundation. We just started when we started the Glow Science Company. And I was introduced by the founders of Foundation Rwanda, who I was traveling with. And when I met her, I said, I'm coming back. And they sent me a simple alginate to my clinic in New York City. I went back that year later, and I was really nervous. I didn't think it was going to seat very well. But magically, it did. And as she looked in the mirror and she started to smile, and she hadn't smiled in 17 years, you realized that we just brought back her smile. And she starts to sing, and when she starts to sing a Rwandan song, we realize not only did we give back her smile, but we gave back her soul, and her whole face lit up. And it was a moment where the people in the room, the doctors and the founders from Foundation Rwanda, and we started looking at each other, not a dry eye in the room. And you could see, look in her face, look at her eyes, look at the change on her. And she went back to her small town on Lake Kivu in Rwanda, and she became the oral health expert. We gave her toothpaste and toothbrushes, and she became, for us, our poster child for Glow Good Foundation. And so we went back to our clinic in New York City. I am very fortunate to work with an amazing group of professionals. And I told my team about what happened. They got all excited. And a hygienist of mine came running up to this patient while he's in the office, and he cornered me. And Lenny Kravitz says to me, "You got to help my people, Johnny." I go, "Well, where's your people?" He goes, "In Bahamas. We're going to go to Eleuthera." He says, "People die from a bee sting. They have no access to care. They're walking around in pain. They think pain in their mouth is normal. They're on a modern diet. You have to come down and see." I said, "Okay, I'll come down." Lenny Kravitz says to you, "Would you come down to his island in Eleuthera? You're going to come, right?" And you know, he's special. And there he is. I mean, take a look at this. My wife always says, she goes, "Johnny, I know why you and Lenny get along so well. He thinks he's a dentist, and you think you're a rock star." But the truth of the matter is, there we are. We're examining people. That's my wife on my right. She's taking notes. Lenny's got a light going on, and sure enough, these people think pain in the mouth is normal. And we know about the connection of oral disease and the rest of the body. High diabetic rate, they have cardiovascular disease. 2 months later, we came back. I took my whole team, 27 people, 7 years ago, and we've come back every year. 5 dentists, 5 hygienists, technicians, support staff, medical personnel, nurse practitioners, clinical psychologists, dermatologists, physicians. This is what we're going to do. We're triaging up front. Registration starts first.
Give me another gloves. Let's start.
Charity begins at home. So this community is my home. My people here be able to have the care that they should have, that every human being should have. And I've been very fortunate to find partners with Dr. Levine and his wife Stacy, and they're an amazing family, the whole Glow Good team.
We would drive around in his Jeep and just ask people on the road. He would know them. And we saw that they needed the most basic care. So we teamed up our organizations, the Glow Good Foundation and Lenny's Let Love Rule.
Giving them access to dentistry, giving them access to the education about how to take better care of their oral health. We have the ability, one place at a time, to really make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want you to know that Henry Schein Cares has been an amazing supporter for us at the Glow Good Foundation. So let me take you to my practice. And let's start talking a little bit about technology. And let's start talking about the impact that we have.
I just met a girl named Maria.
Look at his lips. Look how hard he's working to get those sounds out. No support. The lip rules we talk about in aesthetic dentistry. Where's the incisal edge? But this is more than incisal edge, more than that. This is about a singer who doesn't have teeth. He's worn them down. And what can we do as professionals?
Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. Oh, I can do it.
She's here. You know what?
Oh, yeah, where is she? I sound better. Suddenly, Maria.
I sound better, he says. Look at his face. Look at his lips. Look at the relaxing musculature. Listen to the sound. This is what we do. This is what we do. So we have a choice. We can be in the black and white world of not so exciting. You know, this is the old world of dentistry. And I am not talking about the importance of structure, function, and biology, critically important as aesthetics. But what can we do for our patients from an emotional sense? Because if it's fix me dentistry, it's not so exciting for us. But if we lead with aesthetics, as Frank Spear has talked about for 25 years, and we go from black and white to color, to emotion and the emotionality of our great profession, that's when we can transform people's smiles and we can change their lives. So we talk about purpose. We talk about making each person better. We talk about impacting our patients' lives. We have to talk about Simon Sinek and start with why. Because it's not about how we do things. It's not about where we do things. It's all about, and what he talks about, is the why. Why do we do what we do? What is the purpose that's fueling us? And when we fuel with purpose, we can then lead with passion. Excited every morning to get up for our chosen profession. I'm very honored to have an amazing team. Half these people, we've been together, for about 25, 27 years. Some of them brought on as we expand, and new people, very special people that I'm blessed to work with. So this is what we do, just to give you an idea of the digital workflow. This is in New York City in the practice. Technology, showing the patient, identifying the problems, and then the old technique we know for 30 years, thank you Peter Dawson, visualize where we want to go, using technology now and scanners, can't live without them. We then smile design from a facial aesthetic standpoint and creating smiles that relates to enhancing the face, the beauty of biocopying because of the digital workflow, and then showing the patient what they look like, creating that emotional dentistry, that excitement, and then turning that into reality. Once you get them excited, then the hard work begins, and that's when structure function biology is so critical. All right, so what happened 2 years ago? We got hit with COVID, we got hit with a crisis, and with this crisis, we were challenged. We were challenged like never before in this world. We were challenged in our own profession. We had fear gripping our team, gripping our patients, gripping our country. People felt overwhelmed. But we had a choice. And with any crisis, whether it's an organized dental group opening up down the street, or if you're in the coffee business and Starbucks opens up down the corner, you are faced with a choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to just barely try to hold on? Or do I have a moment to hit the pause button? And do I think about reinvention? Do I think about elevating my game? Do I think about getting out of my comfort zone and pushing myself? Because it takes courage to do that. It's easy to stay with the status quo. It's hard to get out of your comfort zone, but when you do, the feeling that you have is powerful, and the outcomes are powerful. So we have this choice in our dental office. Are we going to survive? Or are we going to reinvent ourselves? And the practices that reinvented themselves are the practices that are thriving today. And sometimes it's a good look in the mirror to say to ourselves, how did I handle that situation? It's a learn. Because whatever crisis we hit, and there'll be another crisis that's going to hit, the question is going to be, how do we respond? So what do we think about for this? It's creativity. It's an optimistic mindset. The creativity is at the heart of everything, because this positivity belongs to all of us. We have the choice. Do we want to live in this negative world, or do we want to live in this creative, superbly optimistic world? And unfortunately, in dental school, we're forced for memorization too much, and we don't have enough of creativity. But that can change. We have to change. The opposite of memorization is creativity, and the opposite of depression is expression. And we're going to create an environment for all of our people to express themselves and adopt this mindset of creativity, because that's energizing. Just to tell you what we do in our practice, we focus on the concept of vision, purpose, values, and we make sure that the whole team is aligning to vision, purpose, values. We believe in the practice that oral health is health care. That dentistry needs to be part of medicine, and medicine needs to be part of dentistry. The purpose, we believe that everyone deserves to have a healthy, beautiful smile. And the values, I took the acronym of JBL, and I said, hey, let's just do it. It's one thing to talk about, but you got to do it. You got to test your hypothesis. You got to go in and do it. B, you got to bring the joy. You got to have an environment and a culture where people are excited and have high energy. And a nod to my foundation partner, Lenny Kravitz, let love rule, because you got to bring the love, because that is when the magic does happen for the patients and for your team. So when we think of the business owners and we think of everyone in the office, because leadership happens at every level, we have two choices. You can lead with a do it because I said you did it approach, do it like I said, like I say, do it approach, or lead and engage and excite and make that person, like I learned back at the day at Cornell with my lacrosse players, make them the best versions of themselves, because when you make them the best version of themselves, you yourself become the best version of yourself. So it's a wonderful concept. Robert Greenleaf brought this to corporate America 25 years ago. And the most successful companies are the ones that embrace servant leadership, because as a leader, you are a servant to them. And Simon Sinek says it beautifully, leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. So we build a culture of alignment of the core values. And we like to say it's not the problems we face, it's how we face our problems. Think about this. Our practices, our business, whatever business you're in, but our practices. We say our practice, our company is the culture. The culture that we build is created by our people. Who did you put on your right and who did you put on your left? I've started a number of companies in oral care, and the most successful ones is when I learned how important it is the people that you choose to come on the journey with you. Because the quality, the people drive that quality of the conversations, the high energy, the optimistic attitude, the positivity that your patients will feel. And if you don't have that in your office, for a moment, stop and think and say, how do I change? Because again, we need courage to change. And with the courage we do, and we'll get better and better at this. So offices that have a team culture is a willingness for people to get out of their comfort zone and push themselves, to be part of the solution, to change is to learn and to adopt new protocols and systems and bring in the experts and to create this environment of high energy and learning. And this, as your patients, the focus we put on our patients is the same focus we put on our people in our practice, equal amount of focus. Our patients will be empowered, and they'll learn about the connection of oral health and overall health, and they'll understand why we're using scanners and the efficiencies of digital dentistry and why we're doing salivary diagnostics and pH testing in the hygiene room. Because this is all in our future. This is all coming down the pike, all these great new technology, three great books, must read, Entrepreneur Operating System, EOS, Lean Startup, Testing Hypotheses, Eric Ries, the classic E-Myth Revisited. So when you think about, and let's dig down a little bit, and you'll get this kind of information from those books. We're driving a car, it could be a race car. Things are coming at you really fast. We want to create this high energy culture. But how do we do that? Well, like anything else, and like driving a car, we have a dashboard. We know what the oil level is, we know what the battery is, we know how fast we're going. Without that dashboard, we don't know how well we're doing. So it's not that hard, it's pretty simple, and we all know this. So we have these key performance indicators, and we know what we focus on. You get what you measure. You have your quarterly goals, you can have incentive comp for your team based on hitting those goals, and the focus is the care of the patients. But you got to measure what you do. It's the only way you know where you are. And it's the only way you know whatever new initiative you're putting in is working. So let's dig down a little bit more. Because when it comes to creativity and when it comes to personal mastery, when we walk in the office as professionals, are we in a lousy mood? If your office manager walks in, she's in a lousy mood? Well, everybody's going to be in a lousy mood, right? We impact each other. We impact each other every day. But if we come in and we lead, and leadership happens, again, leadership happens at every level. Every person has the opportunity to lead. We have to build that personal mastery. So this concept of waking up in the morning and putting a little bit of a system in place of owning your morning, elevating your life. God bless Robin Sharma, Brandon Bouchard, who talks about these high-performance habits early on. So Robin Sharma talks about the 20-20-20. So you journal, you wake up with a coffee in your hand, and you make your notes, and you're thinking about your day, and how did yesterday go? And Brandon Bouchard has a wonderful book. You can get it on Amazon. Sets you up for the day. You're feeling good. You take a little time for yourself. What does meditation do? Meditation clears your head. You wake up in the morning, there's 1,000 things. I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to take the kids, I got to do. Calms your head, slows you down. I live in New York City half my time. This is a crazy place, New York City. You got to calm down. And so, you wake up in the morning, and whether it's breath work with Wim Hof or you're doing a little meditation, it sets your mind. And then, of course, athletics. It has to happen. So Robin talks about the 20-20-20, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. I love this book. He's got about 5, 6 great books. I suggest it to everybody in the room. The 5 a.m. Club, it's a fun story that he tells, and Bouchard's High Performance Habits. But what happens if your whole team is aligned with this? You're all of a sudden, when a person is fighting something and they're having some negativity and they're sliding sideways, we lift each other up. Remember, servant leadership. We fill each other up with positivity and optimism and help each other. So that was our passion section. But let's talk about elevating your profession. Because with purpose and passion, we have this opportunity that David was talking about. Let's elevate this profession. Let's talk about that for a second. So let's talk about how this happened. How did dentistry and medicine get separate? I don't know how many people know this story, but in 1840, these two physicians who practiced also dentistry, Horace Hayden and Chapin Harris, went knock, knock, knock on the first medical school in Baltimore and said, we believe that dentistry, we're physicians, we believe that dentistry is just a subspecialty of medicine. You know, I don't know, call me crazy, but the mouth is connected to the rest of the body. Well, dentistry back then in the 1840s was kind of a barber profession. That's how they described it. You had barbers taking out teeth, and the scientific method wasn't in place yet. And these guys, Horace Hayden and Chapin Harris, had a vision. And so they got rebuked. They said, you know what? The medical school senior people said, go open up your own dental school. Go open up your own school. And they did exactly that. And from that moment on, the walls were built. Then the walls between medicine and dentistry have been up since 1840. You would think we might need some change soon, right? But I love what Mariotto says, fantastic book if you haven't read it, that all it talks, does a great job talking about the inequality in this country with access to care. The body didn't sign on for this arrangement, and teeth don't know that they're supposed to keep their problems confined to the mouth, Mary says. Great point, and that's the truth. But we know that there's a connection between oral health and overall health. We know for 20 years there is so much scientific research and science, the same bacteria that cause periodontal disease, one of the 7 pathogens, P. gingivalis, ends up in the carotid arteries, the intermedia of coronary vascular patients, CVD. So with this connection, the same leaky gut is the same thing with periodontal disease, leaky mouth with toxins going into the blood system. We know there's this connection. So how come dentistry and medicine isn't connected better? Because what happens in your mouth doesn't stay in your mouth. Unfortunately, Diamante Driver was a young boy in Baltimore, but he became this kind of poster child for this conversation that he died from a brain infection that started with a lower left first molar that if he had a sealant program in his school, he never would have even gotten a cavity, no access to care, and sure enough, the infection works its way through his brain, and the boy passes away at his young age. 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, finally the public is starting to get aware. Remember, this is almost 20 years ago. We haven't moved that far from here. The connection between inflammation and heart attacks, cancer, and Alzheimer's disease. Okay, so who's going to get the message out to our patients? Who's going to help educate them? Who's going to send them the newsletters? Who's going to talk to them about this? Right. Close to 2,400 Americans, 1 death every 37 seconds. Cardiovascular disease, CVD, #1 killer in America. And as far as periodontal disease, which is where you have our leaky mouth, where the contents get into our bloodstream, and we know that for sure, half of Americans have periodontal disease. So the truth is, we're on a collision course. We are on a collision course. We have health care, 20% of our GDP. Our gross domestic product, 20% is spent on health care because of our model in this country. We have a sickness model. You get sick, this is how we're going to react. That's got to change. That has to change. Emergency rooms, there's no dentist there. Spend $3 billion a year in this country on emergency visits, and all they do is hand out prescription, oxycodone in the old days, some type of pain pill, and send them away. What a waste of money. No connection between medicine and dentistry. But imagine what David was talking about, imagine where the professions work together. Where instead of a sickness model, we go for a wellness model. And we think about getting to disease early and getting to the root cause. Well, it's very interesting because our patients go to the dental office a lot more frequent. And we talk about dentistry as the tip of the spear in healthcare. So a common electronic record platform, we can see what each other's doing, we can send each other data, and we focus on a wellness and a prevention model. So how can we do this? The truth of the matter is we have such amazing innovation today, and we have all of this great technology. Let me give you 2 great examples. Salivary diagnostics is now the new blood diagnostics. We can determine C-reactive protein. We can get ahead of heart attacks. We're looking at biomarkers. We could look at cytokines that are in the saliva that impacts inflammation. We know very well what a cytokine storm is because of COVID-19. We understand that if there's inflammation in the mouth, it's going to have inflammatory effect in the rest of the body and vice versa. So this salivary diagnostics, we can diagnose, we can send that information through sensors to our physician colleagues up on the cloud, and we can share this information. And we could be the tip of the spear for healthcare to get ahead of this #1 killer in America. Another great example is the CBCT, cone beam. This is amazing. This is connecting the dots of people who have upper airway restriction, or OSA, obstructive sleep apnea. And if you take a scan, and if you look at the scan, and you look at this one, a patient had close to 18, 19 millimeters, should be 140, 150. That's a visual. Everybody knows that visual information is easily understood by all of us. And as soon as a patient would see that, and you have a conversation about, or you start asking the important questions about sleep, we now become, again, the tip of the spear for their health, because we know how important deep sleep is for repairing the human body. And dentistry becomes a very important part of healthcare. What a concept. So, let's bring it together. Dental medical integration. Dentistry is the first line of defense. Saliva diagnostics, sensor technology, airway and sleep. It's happening. It's blowing up in our profession. But now the impact is our healthcare system saves billions of dollars. We create some efficiency, and we put the dentistry and medicine model together. So let's develop not a sickness-focused business model like a number of healthcare systems are, like the Mayo Clinic. Let's create prevention and wellness model. Focus on wellness. Get to the root causes. Dental industry adapts new innovation. The problem we have in dentistry right now, it takes 15 years for us dentists in general to adopt a new technology. Come on, seriously? We could do better. We got to change. We have to change. We have to adopt new technology faster. Every practice should have a CBCT. We could see airway, TMJ. We see so much information. The flex from iCAD and cables, I think it's 9 seconds, equivalent to about 7 x-rays. Come on, we can see everything. It's amazing. Every practice needs to have scanners. There's tremendous efficiencies. We can transfer data so easily. We have to adopt this information. Hygiene room. Can you imagine that all of our patients, we're explaining to them the importance of the microbiome? The microbiome in the gut and the microbiome in the mouth is the same rules apply. It's a homeostatic balance of good versus bad bacteria. When it goes out of balance, we got oral disease, just like the gut. You got leaky gut, and you got the gut-brain axis happening. You got the same thing in the mouth. We need to explain that to our patients. So the integration of medicine and dentistry is critical. It's critical. So this is what I tell everybody here. It's time. It's time to break down the walls. It's time to connect the dots, and we can be proactive, and we could be leading the charge in elevating our profession. So here's my key takeaway. Let's find your purpose, why we do what we do. That purpose is going to fuel our passion, and we're going to create for us, which comes back to us in so many great ways, a culture of excitement and optimism and creativity, and our teams are inspired. And we will also, with that, we can elevate our profession as we adopt this new technology and this new innovation and connect the dots of dentistry and medicine. As I said in the beginning, I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but let me say it now. Let's dream big. And when you dream big, let's dream a little bigger. Because the truth of the matter is, it's really a lot more fun to do with the people you love. And when that happens, that's when the magic happens. So for us, it is taking that magic, that love, and this is my family, and I'm blessed to have just this amazing 2 young boys, and my wife Stace, and all the companies I've done is with Stacy, and my son's just launched a new brand called Twice, and I'm excited for them. But we're one family. Like this family, we are one family. Your success is our success. And the success of everybody in this room and our profession is what's going to elevate what we do and improve the lives of everybody in the United States. And we could then lead in the world in that thinking. But it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage to change because we're doing things a certain way and we haven't changed. So I want to see a show of hands. Who's willing to change? Who is willing to change? Who is going to say, we're going to make a change here? That's right. Because you know what's going to happen? Change is coming. Change is coming. Stay with me. Change is coming. I want to hear you say that. Change is coming. Change is coming. Change is coming. Change is coming. I even got a little music backup. Change is coming. Thank you, everybody, and let's make some change together.
Well done, my friend.
Thanks, brother.
Good job, Jonathan. Jonathan Levine.